Welcome back to Founders in the Field, the show where we go behind the scenes with agency leaders, consultants, and creative founders to show you how they're building, scaling, and staying sane in the trenches. I'm your host, Stefan Bradley, and today's guest is Barry Walton, founder of Endless Media. How are you doing, Barry?
Hey, buddy. Stefan, nice to meet you and nice to be here and meet with your audience as well.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for joining us. Let's dive straight in. For people who don't know your story, take us right back to the start of your journey. What made you start your own business? And give us an overview of what your role looks like today at Endless Media.
I've been working on building a company for 20 plus years. I started in 99 when I moved to LA and I was doing film. And at that time I was a contractor and I would do contract work on the sets of films and commercials. And then, that business had some bumps. It was my first attempt. I tried again around 2010 with a small business where I was doing basically what I'm doing now is creating video content for, events and brands, but felt like I still needed know a lot more to reach my goals because I had basically pigeonholed myself into doing review video, like wedding videos and bar mitzvah videos and kind of like smaller kind of charity videos, but I wanted to do higher end commercial content. So at that time I felt like I needed more experience and I went back out a long road. I actually lived in Italy for a little while. My wife was over there. I do film and documentary work and then back to New York and doing work in the pro sports, and then Detroit in the agency world. I was doing stuff for the auto industry. Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and Chrysler Fiat owned them at the time, so we were also doing Fiat and the brands of Fiat, and that's where I really got my feet under me about creating commercial content. And I went out on my own in 2017 and have been working to kind of grow and build my business and understand business over the last now 9 years. And so I'm coming up on my 9-year anniversary, heading towards a decade, and definitely has been a lot of learning, a lot of highs and lows. But over the last 10 years, I've been doing commercial content and brand content for a variety of businesses, big and small.
Well, it sounds like you've been in the business a long time, but it's not been such a straight road for you, but you've stuck in there, and now you've managed to get to the place what you said from going when you were doing weddings and bar mitzvahs and saying that you wanted to do more high-end commercial, and now with Endless Media you've actually got to that point and are now making commercials for these high-end industries and businesses. Was there ever a point in the journey where you thought I'm not gonna get here, or that you not wanting to do this anymore, or was you always like, no matter what, I will get to this goal?
I've struggled a lot with not of kind of feeling like, when am I going to get there? The idea of building a company versus working for yourself. Working for yourself is basically you have a lot of clients and you do all their work and you're not in their company, but you're in the center of your company and you can't escape. And building a business is when you can put people into place and you can exit your company. And that would be getting there when you get to that point. And so I think for a lot of my time as my working for myself, I've often asked, when am I going to get there? In that, I've said at times like I want to leave. The conflict is that in leaving, I don't get there ever. I just end up working for somebody else, which will just pigeonhole me until I retire. So I've got this addictive nature to just stick it out. I'm a little bit of a masochist. Until I achieve my goal. But I definitely have lots of times where I feel like I want to throw in the towel. I feel like this is not panning out, and then I kind of, life pushes you back in and you get your momentum again and you go, and so it's kind of cyclical at some level.
I think stubbornness is something that every entrepreneur it's a bad thing in a lot of ways, but when you're becoming an entrepreneur, having that stubborn nature of being like, I'm going to make this work through hell or high water, I'm going to make it work, I feel like has some sort of more than value in it, but it makes you, it will inevitably work because of how much you stick in there.
Yeah, no, I think that the people that succeed the most are the hell or high water people, and they have like a clear focus and they don't let distractions get in their way. I think one of my biggest weaknesses is I let distractions kind of interrupt my path. Kevin Leary, who's an American game show kind of member from Shark Tank, and he's also like a pundit on a lot of news shows. He likes to say separating the signal from the noise, and he claims that, and he used to work with Steve Jobs with Apple, and he claims that Steve Jobs and Elon Musk's and these types of characters have a unique strength in being able to separate the signal from the noise, and being every day, all day, they are always on mission. They are always on, they're not, and it's so easy to get distracted, even just now before this call, and even us connecting. For me, I was kind of going, okay, am I moving towards my goal by having this conversation, by having this call? And I was kind of sidetracking today when I was putting away some gear and prepping some things, where I kind of was going through and got busy cleaning something. And I'm like, I don't need to clean. This is a weekend thing. I can do this on the weekend. I need to stay focused on my mission. And so those things happen a lot. And so for me, I'm kind of constantly working to stay on mission. And I think that helps you to get close to your goal and be one of those people that are, to answer your original question, one of those people that are hell or high water. You just keep going.
No, definitely. Distraction is a silent killer, and keeping that, especially in today's world, with everything's trying to grab your attention. So being able to keep your focus is a major skill in today's world, I would say. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you.
No, definitely. I mean, you get pulled away, and you got to move those things out of your life and just stay on point.
So what does your role look like today inside Endless Media? Obviously, you spoke about working for yourself, but then actually building a business to delegate. So how has that changed, and what is your role look like today?
Well, I'm still kind of in the middle of my company. And really I'm kind of taking, I feel like your company goes through different phases of growth and different phases of like down. And usually the down is because you're trying to get to some place, but you don't know how to put the pieces in to get there. And you're kind of burning out because you're like, I want to go there. I'm stuck here and I'm tired of being here. And it's kind of like you feel like quitting. And so you don't give 100% to this role that you're in because you want to be over here, and the business struggles. And so I've kind of started to kind of rebuild this role here, but now I've gotten some new momentum and new energy, and I'm trying to let go of the things that I feel like I need to hold on to and let other people do them. So I'm working with some new employees and new staff, and I'm working to put them into place so that I can focus on growing and building. And so I guess the role is transitional. I've been in this transitional phase of I think building a company has like 3 phases. And the first phase is like you are doing everything. You're doing the books, you're calling new customers, you're doing the sales, you're executing on the deliverables, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's the first phase. And then as that starts to get momentum, you go, oh, I'm going to hire this person to do one thing and this person to do another thing, and et cetera, et cetera. And that starts you into the transitional phase where you're halfway in here and halfway, I'm just building the funnel and bringing people in. And so I feel like I'm kind of in the transitional phase. I'm trying to get enough people packed in-house to execute and have the company have its own legs so that I can start to walk away. So that's kind of where I'm at. Well, it's an ongoing process. I've probably been here for like 2 or 3 years, so it's not easy. It's the small business. I think it's the problem. It's the struggle of every small business owner. They're trying to get enough momentum to escape, and that is the struggle of every small business owner.
No, definitely, and you're right. In that transitional phase, I suppose you're trying to delegate to the deliverables type of thing, but hiring and training, and then trying to focus on growing the company at the same time. Is kind of you're in a position of in between 2 positions, but it's going to take time, of course, because these things matter. How people run your business, you need to make sure that they're running it in the way that you want them to do it, and the same standard that you're wanting to do it while still trying to grow the business. So I think a lot of founders and small businesses can relate. Standardizing
your business so that anyone can step in and execute is a challenge.
Definitely. So now we've got a bit of background about you and about Endless Media and where you're at. What are the biggest trends that you're seeing inside the market today?
The biggest trend in the market that everyone's aware of in every field, and if they're not aware of it, they're going to be in trouble, is AI. Artificial intelligence has begun to kind of step in ways that it's kind of hard to see exactly where it's going and how it's going to impact the business, but that's the biggest trend that is both a trend and a threat to the industry, but also for the right person, if they evolve properly, it could be an asset. The evolution of that is because really what it's going to do is it's going to reduce the workload, the need for staff, so that one or two people can do what 5 or 10 people used to do. That's always the case. I mean, that's the case of the industrial age at some level, and that's the case of the computer and digital age, and it's going to be the case of AI. And then you're going to have one of two groups that emerge: the group that harness it, and the group that refuse to kind of adapt to it. And Darwin's biggest thing is the strongest aren't the ones that survive. The smartest aren't the ones that survive. The ones that adapt are the ones that survive. And so I'm trying to keep that in mind. As an artist, part of my work is art, and I have a deep passion for that, and so it's hard to let go of that and just say, oh, I'm just going to dump it into a computer and let the computer execute. But like I said, adaptation is the key at some level. So I'm working to kind of do that, but that's the biggest trend, the biggest thing on the horizon, and also the biggest concern.
Yeah, no, definitely. I would say that it's probably affecting your industry, maybe not more, but definitely a lot is in how the AI videos are coming around and how much people are using that for ads and things like that. But are you having to, like what you said, are you having to adapt? And how much of the work are you seeing that is now changing from, traditional filmmaking to them, clients potentially wanting it done quicker, faster because of AI?
Well, I mean, the industry has been evolving incredibly fast over the last decade. Before AI, our industry is just technology is kind of coming down so fast that it's hard to know exactly what's happening with the industry at any given time. When it slows down, when the prices come down, everything. So the industry has been changing so fast, it honestly has been hard to keep up with. AI is just going to add to that. For a while, people were like, well, the artists will be the last one to go. I'm beginning to think that the artists might be the first one to go. In fact, some of the white-collar, middle American management jobs might be the first to go. Your lawyers, your coders, your programmers, that whole portion of the industry is going to get smashed. I mean, it's hard to know exactly how to deal with AI. It's kind of dystopian. There's a saying that goes, if you give a capitalist a noose, or capitalists will sell a noose to hang himself with, you know what I mean, or whatever, like that. So there's something to this movement with AI that feels a little bit suicidal. From a capitalist and just a humanist perspective. I could be wrong, but it feels a little dystopian. I think you're going to have such a small fraction of people that can do such a massive amount of work, and it's going to come down so fast across all industries. I don't know how we're going to handle it, but to stay focused on the topic at hand, which is business, I started building and working in AI. I've started trying to pitch some clients on AI. I built a couple of commercials that were completely developed through AI. I haven't surprisingly had a lot of bite. I haven't had a lot of clients that bite on it. I think what's happening is that clients what they're doing with AI is they're using it in-house. So they're just replacing the need to hire somebody. So a corporation like a Coca-Cola or like a major industry like an auto industry, they're saying to themselves, we don't need a full agency of that and pay this agency $1 million or $2 million or $5 million, etc. a year to execute on our needs. We literally can hire 3 people and that are trained on AI and integrate them into our branding, and they can release and push everything out, and we can remove the entire agency altogether. And so what's happening is people on the outside like myself who depend on being hired by corporations or companies, we're going, where's the work? And people like me, and I think I'm starting to figure it out, but people like myself are going, where's the work, or where did the work go? And we're not seeing ourselves be replaced by AI because we're not inside the corporations that right now are adapting it, right? So that's what's happening, and we're kind of all going, and we're still getting the bits and pieces from because it's so that we're only on the front of the wave. You know what I mean? It's not even the smaller market companies, the mid-market companies, the mom and pop shops. They're nowhere near adaptation. It's only the major corporations that are beginning to adopt it and go, how do we use this to our advantage so that we can increase our margins and reduce our costs? That's all those companies care about, increasing margin and reducing costs. That humanity is not a thing for them. Don't kid yourself that it is. That's on the front end, and they're starting to do that, and we're all kind of going, I'm losing work, but I don't know where it's going because we're not inside. So I don't know how, I'm off on this AI rant, but I'm trying to also respond to your question, which I've kind of lost the plot. But I think the answer is in there somewhere with regard to AI and using it and being aware of it and how it's changing the market.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a trickle-down effect as well. The larger corporations, like you said, they're the ones that are adapting it faster. Do you know what I mean? Because especially their margins and, profit loss and things like that are exponentially bigger as well. So being able to save a few percent, 5%, however many it is, makes a massive difference to them.
Well, that's that. They're all about all those corporate, like the idea that corporations are evil. I think is a misnomer. They have no intention other than profits, and so they're not. And what you said is accurate. They're all about volume. So your mega stores of the world, and over in the UK, I don't know what your mega stores are, but you have Amazon, and we have Amazon too. Their margins are pennies on the dollar. So they have to move millions of product. And if they can just make a fraction more of that margin, everything expands for them exponentially. But they're moving so quick that they disassociate from the human experience, right? So they're not evil. They're just looking at numbers and going, how can we maximize these numbers? And your own, don't kid yourself that you're a social security number or whatever in the UK your terms are. And they aren't evil by nature, but they become evil and they seem evil because they lose the plot on humanity. They no longer are in tune with the fact that we're all here not just to produce a product. We're also here to live and exist and participate in life and community. They lose that because they're one-dimensional entities. So I'm on my rant today, Stefan. I don't know if this is what you wanted.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't know what your clientele and your business, your listeners are, if they want to hear this stuff, but that's what they're getting.
That's absolutely fine. It's just an honest conversation. I want to hear your honest thoughts.
I mean, you're British. I'm a fan of the British. I lived over there for a summer, and I have some good up in Lichfield. I lived in Lichfield, England, for a minute, and I have one of my favorite British guys. I did a documentary on him. His name is Mark Cockbain, and also one of the most impressive British women I've ever known is Sharon Gaynor. They're ultra runners, and Sharon Gaynor is maybe one of the toughest women I've ever met. But she's got that British adventurer spirit. They both do, and I love British people, and a good fish and chips and a beer. Nothing beats it. So, anyways, maybe they just need to have this conversation with a good, harps or something and some fish and chips, and we'll be all good.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely be all good. But let's switch gears a little bit. So what is working well, and where do you feel slight friction at Endless Media?
Oh, yeah. What works well is I'm pretty good with customer service. I'm pretty good with client referrals. Most of my work comes through referrals. And most of my work is relationship based. People that work with me because they like to work with me. I'm good to work with, and I also create really good content. That's working well. Where the friction is that the industry, like we commented on, is losing the boutique nature to it and the customization. Customization of video content is rare, if not existent at some level. And so minus a few specific kind of genres in the field, it's a volume-based industry. And the people that are I'm starting to compete with AI editors and companies that will funnel your work through AI editing. You give them the content, they'll pump out a bunch of videos with AI. And so I'm competing with that, and I'm also competing with the oversaturation of the market of youth, and they'll work for half of the rate or a third of the rate that I will. And so convincing people that it's worth the money to have a customized piece of content in my industry is becoming more and more rare, and that's probably where the most friction is, and where the biggest struggle is, and where I'm really working to kind of transition away from that. But in the process, I'm losing part of the reason I do it. So I'm also losing some of my passion, and I'm working to resolve that, because I don't only do this for money. I do this because I love it. So that's probably the best response to that question.
And so, you said a lot of your, clients come with through referrals. Are they sort of the big corporations, or are they more medium-sized businesses that is like your ideal ICP, your ideal client profile?
It's a mix. I've been working with for the last couple years with the milk industry, and we've been doing pro athletes and college athletes and series on them. And that's a personal referral of someone I used to work with. And also, like, locally, I'm doing some content, and I have a major client out of Miami that I work with, and that's also from personal references. So all those are personal references. I do some networking. I put a lot of stuff like this out there on the internet. I don't get a lot of return on it. I've kind of spent money at times on social media posts and social media ads. I've put a lot of time into that at times. I don't get a lot of return. I don't see the return. I think my industry, it's heavy in the personal relationship and people that you know. And so that's kind of where I drive a lot of my energy right now. I'd love it if I could turn on a switch and just turn in business, but I'm not a lawyer, and I have a friend who works as a lawyer and owns his own law firm, and that's what they do. They basically turn on the money, pay their sponsor dollars, get the ads rolling, and the work starts piling in, and then they literally have to turn the ad dollars off until they can catch up. I don't have that luxury. I have to hunt down every piece I get.
Definitely B2B, especially in a relationship driven industry, ads it doesn't work the same way as something like you said there, with like a plumbing business or a lawyer business, something like that. You have to build them relationships, and obviously that's what you're seeing through your referral network, and maybe why it's not worked to running the ads the same as it does in other industries.
Yeah, that's accurate. B2B. It's a little bit different, because basically all that I do is B2B.
So Barry, where do you want to be in terms of business in the next 12 to 18 months?
I'd like to double on my numbers from last year. Last year was a pretty bad year. The last 2 years have been tough years. 2023 was a very big year. My biggest year by far. I've dropped the last 2 years. I've dropped by 70%. From that year, and I lost a major client, and so I'm trying to rebuild. I'm not sure what it was. Again, I think it was people pulling their work in-house. A lot of companies pulling their work in-house, not spending out of their house, and maybe AI. But the last 2 years have been tough years. I'd like to double my revenue from last year, and I'd like to get a full-time in-house guy for my post-production part of my department. So those are the two pieces. Those are the two big goals this year.
And do you have any sort of plan how you're going to reach your revenue goals?
I think the focus for revenue really boils down to getting out more in the networking, getting back into just boots on the ground networking. I've kind of re-upped my commitment to a couple of networking groups. I can't say enough about networking. It sometimes feels pointless, but it works. It's important to find the right networking group. I find my most work from industry-specific networking. Awards and recognition, as cheesy as they feel at times, are valuable. People buy into awards and recognition, and they're legit. I mean, I'm not making it up. I didn't make up. I'm actually a recipient of award at an award banquet this weekend. Banquet. Excuse me. I'm stuck on that word. And I think those things help. They're not everything, but they bring legitimacy. People like to know you're legitimate before they work with you. And so those two pieces I'm working to kind of reestablish. And I'm kind of being more cautious about what I post online on social media. The last 2 years, I've been a little bit more, we've gone through the politics. We've gone through some kind of crazy stuff over here in America. And the world there's crazy stuff online all the time, but I've kind of removed all the apps from my phone. I still go online through my computer and post online that way, but the world's a lot more sane, and I'm also kind of withholding what I'm posting. And as a small business owner, I think that stuff's important when people see it. You might not know it, they might not like it, they might not comment, they might not say anything, they might just disappear. And so I think if you have ethics and if you have your own set of ethics, goals, morals, ideals, it's a crazy time. You want to speak out sometimes, and I don't hate people who speak out, but use it with caution because it can hurt you. So those two pieces, more networking and then just being smarter about what I post, when I post, and how I post are kind of two pieces that I think are a big deal to doing that.
Okay, Barry, my last question is, if you could wave a magic wand and fix one thing in your business, what would it be?
ARR, annual reoccurring revenue. I wish that my industry and I wish that I had a little bit more, if you're a website builder, if you are a technology developer in the tech space, what do they call it? SaaS, software as a service. You can sell memberships and you can lock people in and you can have a reoccurring revenue that you can depend on, which makes your business more viable and stable and also gives you something to sell to a potential buyer. I feel like the one frustration in my industry is it's a lot harder to lock people into annual reoccurring revenue and annual streams. It's a little more hand to mouth. And if I could fix that, if I could find a way to fix that, I would do it.
So to the hypothetical question that I ask everybody, very logical. Barry, where can my viewers and listeners reach out to you if they're wanting to work with you, if they're wanting to find out more about what you do?
Yeah, I'm at endlessmediame.com. endlessmediame.com. Yeah, I'd love it. I have a lot of my stuff there. I have a book. You can download a free copy of my book, a digital copy. If you're watching this right now and you go there, you can click on the book. It'll have a drop-down menu. Click on the free digital copy. If you fill out the form and let me know that you saw me on Stefan's podcast, I will happily send you a free digital copy of my book, which talks about my stories, my work in documentary film. And all my films are there, and if you want to reach out directly for future business, I'd love to hear it.
There we go, everybody. If you're wanting custom content to looking to have commercials, professional commercials, please hit Barry at Endless Media. Barry, thank you so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed this conversation. Wish you all the best. And also, everybody that's watching, please like, comment, subscribe, send to a friend, and we'll be back with the next episode soon. Thanks, Barry.
Stefan, thank you. Be well over there in the UK.
Definitely.
All right, buddy.